Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Today we're jumping into something pretty fascinating, actually. It's all about Antoine Dupont, the French captain, Toulouse star.
Yeah, the sources we've got lay out this real tension. On one hand, a huge potential new contract keeping him at Toulouse for ages.
A mega deal, they're calling it. Loyalty locked in.
But on the other hand, there's this clause giving him global freedom, an escape hatch almost.
And it's all playing out against this backdrop of quite a public fight he's having with the LNR, the French league, over the salary cap.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really unpack all that. What's in this deal? Why is he clashing with the league?
And what does it all mean, this pull between sticking with your club and, maximizing your global brand?
Yeah.
What does that signal for top players everywhere?
It feels like Rugby at the very top hitting some complex growing pains. Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession.
Yeah, you don't want to miss these deep dives.
All right, this contract, let's start there. Toulouse isn't messing around, are they?
No, definitely not. His current deal ends in 2027, but they're pushing hard now for an extension.
Right. Reportedly looking at keeping him way out to 2031, maybe even 2032.
Which is huge. He joined from Castres back in 2017, so this would take him well past his 35th birthday with the club. Real long-term stuff.
And it's interesting they're doing this now while he's sidelined with that Six Nations injury.
Yeah, he's not due back till mid-November, they reckon. It just shows how vital they see him. They want him locked down, injury or not.
But here's the kicker, the bit everyone's talking about, this intriguing twist the sources mentioned.
The caveat, yeah. A clause that specifically allows him to take a deal somewhere else, abroad, or explore, another challenge.
Exactly. Now, why would Toulouse even agree to that? Give their star player a potential out?
Well, that's the fascinating part, isn't it? You have to figure it benefits both sides somehow. Toulouse gets him long-term. That's the prize.
And Dupont gets flexibility, a way to maybe handle these LNR issues we'll get to.
Precisely. Flexibility and access to markets, maybe, that aren't tangled up in French rugby regulations.
Which brings us to the options, and honestly, they sound kind of wild.
We know his company, East Coast, is involved with that U.S. Major League Rugby team, RSCLA. Rugby Football Club Los Angeles.
Right, he's part of the ownership group.
Yeah, and East Coast is his vehicle, really, for building his brand. So this clause, it could let him actually play for RFCLA, take a sabbatical.
Wow, okay, so a top Tier 1 player, arguably the world's best at his peak, heading to MLR.
Even for a season or two, it would be, completely groundbreaking. First time ever for a player of his caliber in his prime.
But hang on, wouldn't Toulouse just be losing their main guy during potentially crucial seasons? What's the upside for them?
Okay, look, it's a risk, no doubt. But think about it. One, they secure his loyalty for the rest of his career, pretty much. Two,
His huge salary comes off their books for that period, helping with the salary cap.
exactly. Instant budget relief under that tight LNR cap. And three, imagine the global marketing boost for Toulouse. Their star player pioneering rugby in the U.S. market. It connects them to that story.
Okay, I see. It's like a bigger picture play, turning a temporary loss into a strategic win.
It's smart asset management, really. And the LA thing ties in neatly with the Olympics, doesn't it?
Ah, good point. He did the Sevens thing in 2024.
Could he do it again for the 2028 Olympics, which happened to be in
Los Angeles. Perfect synergy if he's already based there playing for RFCLA.
It just fits, doesn't it? This contract offers that kind of multi-dimensional planning.
And it sidesteps issues back home, which we should probably clarify. This isn't about him joining some rebel league like R360, right?
No, the sources are clear on that. France was one of the unions warning players off R360. This is different, more strategic.
Right. So this forward-thinking contract exists, but the reason it needs to be so flexible, perhaps, is the current mess back in France.
Let's pivot to that, yeah. His very public clash with the LNR, the Ligue Nationale de Rugby.
This gets into the weeds of French rugby finance, doesn't it?
It does. So the top 14 salary cap for next season, 2025-26, is set at $10.7 million per club.
Okay, $10.7 million. That's the ceiling for player wages.
Well, yes, but here's the problem Dupont's highlighting. What counts towards that cap?
And the LNR includes, what? Image rights? Endorsement?
Exactly. Individual commercial deals. Dupont himself said, and I'm quoting roughly here, that The rules prevent us from using our individual image through traditional advertising contracts.
So if he signs a big sponsorship deal, say with a global brand.
The value of that deal gets counted against Toulouse's 10.7 million player budget. It eats into the money available to pay him and his teammates their actual rugby salaries.
Wow, okay, so he basically has to choose, maximize his playing salary or his commercial value, but doing both within the French system is difficult.
It seems that way. It creates this weird situation where the rugby economy might be growing, but top player earnings are squeezed because their off-field success financially penalizes their own club under the cap.
Which DuPont says is hitting most of the French national team players now.
Yeah, their brands are big, but they can't leverage them fully in France without cap implications. And he feels the LNR's enforcement is getting extreme. He used some pretty strong words.
The witch hunt comment.
Describing how the league is demanding lists of all commercial partners, contracts, even digging into personal assets, apparently. Trying to, in his words, expose the cheaters.
That's intense language. Witch hunt. But playing devil's advocate, isn't the LNR just trying to keep things fair? Stop rich clubs finding loopholes.
Absolutely, and that's their stated aim. They talk about reinforced transparency to prevent clubs paying players indirectly and skewing competition. That's a legitimate goal for any league.
Sure.
But the level of scrutiny Dupont describes, asking about personal assets and things, that does feel unusually invasive for pro sports.
Yeah?
You can see why players might feel targeted, especially global stars like him.
Okay, so let's connect the dots. We've got this LNR system that makes it really hard, maybe even punitive, for DuPont to cash in on his huge global image within France.
Right. And then you look at that contract clause again, the RFCLA option.
It's an escape route.
It certainly looks like one. Take a year or maybe two, play in the MLR completely outside the LNR's control.
And suddenly his image rights, his sponsorship deals, they're totally separate from the top 14 cap.
Exactly. West Coast can maximize his commercial value freely over there without impacting Toulouse's budget back home. It neatly solves the problem, for that period at least.
So the contract flexibility isn't just about exploring new challenges, it's potentially a direct strategic response to the LNR's restrictions.
It seems like an incredibly savvy piece of negotiation, really, balancing that long-term club loyalty with, well, financial reality for a global superstar.
And speaking of his stature, there's a bit of recent context from the sources, too, about his standing right now in the top 14 itself.
Yeah, interesting point. He was World Rugby Player of the Year in 2021, obviously huge.
And top 14 Player of the Year in 23 and 24, but apparently not for 2025.
No, the sources say his teammate, Jack Willis, actually got the nod this time. Beat out Dupont and Thomas Ramos, too.
Which doesn't mean Dupont isn't central, but maybe shows his focus has had to widen beyond just dominating the domestic league.
Could be. Juggling the injury recovery, the Sevens dream, these contract talks. Maybe it reinforces why securing that external commercial freedom is so important to him right now. His value goes way beyond just top 14 performances.
He's a global brand operating in a league trying to keep things, well, contained locally.
That's a good way to put it. The LNR wants to regulate the club game, but he's bigger than just the club game.
This whole thing really does hold up a mirror to the pressures in elite rugby today. And, we want to hear what you think about this.
Definitely. Connecting all these pieces, the contract, the LNR fight, the RFCLA link, what really jumps out at you, would him actually going to MLR be a game changer globally? Let us know.
Yeah, share your thoughts. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to Rugby Obsession yet, now's a great time. Don't miss out on future deep dives like this one.
So wrapping up, I think the big takeaway here is this clear tension, right, between league rules trying to ensure competitive balance and the sheer commercial power of modern superstar athletes.
And DuPont's contract situation looks like a really innovative attempt to navigate that tension, a potential blueprint, maybe?
Could be. Which leads to that final thought to chew on. Is this the future model? This idea of long-term club loyalty, but with specific built-in sabbatical clauses for players to pursue global commercial opportunities outside their home league's restrictions.
It fundamentally shifts power, doesn't it? Allows players to leverage their global brand against potentially restrictive domestic rules. It's fascinating.
It really is. Acknowledging that some players are just too big commercially for one league's ecosystem.
Food for thought indeed. Okay, one last reminder to subscribe to Rugby Obsession.
Please do.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.